Welcome back to Candid Conversations. How are you doing today, Candice?
I'm doing very well, Chris. And you?
Good, good. Today we have a special guest. We have a guest back in the studio. You want to introduce her?
I will. So today we are joined by Venetria K. Patton, and I'll go ahead and read the bio. Sounds great?
Yeah.
Okay. Venetria K. Patton is the Harry E. Preble Dean of the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. She joined the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences in August 2021 after serving as the head of School of Interdisciplinary Studies at Purdue University. Patton earned her bachelor's degree in English from the University of La Verne and her master's and PhD in English from the University of California, Riverside. Her teaching and research focuses on African American and diasporic women's literature. In 1996, Patton joined the University of Nebraska-Lincoln as a professor of English and African American Studies. In 1998, she was named coordinator of the African American and African Studies program. In 2003, she joined Purdue University as the Director of African American Studies and Research Center. In 2015, she was named Provost Fellow and Diversity and Inclusion. And in 2016, she was named the head of the School of Interdisciplinary Studies. Welcome, Dean Patton.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I'm glad that you're able to join us today and talk a little bit about your leadership journey and share about your life. So I'm going to start us off by talking about like the early parts of your life. So if you could, what early experiences really shaped your understanding of leadership, if you don't mind sharing?
Oh, sure. I would say one of my earliest memories was serving on the advisory committee for my graduate program in English. So I was the graduate student representative on this advisory committee. And so basically I saw the underworkings of the department. And it was there that the first spark for administration started, because I realized that if I wasn't present on that committee, there'd be decisions made that I would not be happy with. And so I thought it was really important for people like me to be at the leadership table. And from then on, I became involved in committees that set me up for further leadership opportunities. And I would watch what I consider to be capable leaders. One of my earliest mentors was my very first chair at the University of Nebraska. My English chair was a wonderful mentor to me who went on to further leadership opportunities at the University of Nebraska system.
Yeah. Were there other kind of mentors or role models that you had along the way?
Oh, yes. And I should probably say a little bit more about Linda. One of the things that I appreciated about her was that she was really good about looking and seeing what were people's strengths and giving people opportunities. And so even though I was a junior faculty member, I had opportunities in the department to take on leadership roles. And so that was really important to me. But also what I noticed about her was that she was really very thoughtful and engaging in the way that she led the department. And she was very good about navigating conflict. And so I wasn't surprised, even after I left the university, how she moved up in the administrative ranks. One of my other mentors was one of my deans at Purdue. He was not the dean that hired me, but he was one that I really liked his leadership style. He was a great listener. And I think listening is so important because you really cannot address problems if you haven't heard what the issues were. And I thought that he was just an excellent listener. And then I will also say I learned from leaders who were not the best leaders as well. I learned what not to do. Actually, the dean that hired me did not last very long. And part of it was because she did not have the strongest people skills. And so I could see that. I mean, even though she and I got along well, I could see why she didn't work well with other people. And I took note of that. There was also another dean that made wonderful advances at the college, but the way that he did them really kind of trampled on people in a way that I don't think is good for long-lasting culture. And so I paid attention to both what I considered to be good things and not so good things.
So outside of higher ed, were there other early experiences, maybe in your personal life or childhood, that shaped your leadership experiences?
Well, I am the oldest of 5 children. I have 4 younger brothers. I was known as junior mommy, so I would say that my leadership skills started right at home. So that's definitely, I think, probably one of the early stages of my leadership. I was also one of those kids that was active in this or that organization, usually taking some officer role. Although, interestingly, I usually was not president. I was usually like vice president or the secretary. So I was really comfortable in those supporting roles. But sometimes when you're playing the supporting role, that's really where you do the grunt work. And so you learn how to do the things that need to be done when you do step into the leadership roles.
Yeah, some of the best leaders are actually first followers, right? Yeah. So as you've developed your leadership philosophy over the years, I mean, Candice read through this bio, you've had a lot of different administrative leadership positions. How would you describe your core leadership philosophy today?
Well, I have this tagline that I use, illuminating possibilities and pathways. And so for me, I really want to help people see what's possible, whether I'm dealing with students, faculty, staff. It's really about opening up paths. Is there something that's blocking the way? So that's kind of the mission that I have in front of me. And I live up to that mission through integrity. So I'm really about honesty, transparency. And I think that's really important when you're having difficult conversations. I'm all about collaboration. I can't do it all by myself. I need to have a team, and I need people to feel comfortable contributing, even if it's something that they think I might disagree with. And so that collaborative spirit is really central to my leadership style. And also, I'm very inclusive with my leadership. I want to hear from different kinds of voices, because if I bring a bunch of people that all think like me, we're going to have a big hole in the way that we look at things. So I would say that those are my hallmarks: integrity, collaboration, and inclusive leadership. That's how I get it done.
So you're actually leading into the question that I was going to ask was, how do you intentionally build an inclusive environment where people feel seen and valued? So can you talk a little bit more about how you built that?
Well, I think part of that has to do with myself having moments where I didn't feel seen and valued, and I don't want people to feel like that. And so I'm very conscientious about having opportunities for people to contribute. I do a lot of listening sessions. I'm very thoughtful about including different voices. I know what my strengths are, and so I don't want people to echo those strengths. I'm looking for people that are stronger in areas where I'm not stronger. And so over the years, I've just had really diverse teams that really kind of like fill in the gap so that we have a holistic perspective. But I also want to make sure that I'm not just listening to my team, but that I have various avenues to get input. I mean, one of the things that I do right now is I meet regularly with undergraduate students throughout the semesters so that I can hear directly from students about their experiences. So
I want to ask a bit of a follow-up to that, because we're recording this in the late winter of 2026. Inclusion, diversity, like those have become really controversial is a bad word for it, but I think it has become less easy to talk about those kind of things openly without repercussion. And so how do you navigate this sort of new environment we're in, where diversity, equity, inclusion, those types of things are still very important to us, but we have to look at them differently. And the way you described, I think is a great start to that. But can you kind of dive into what are the difficulties of doing that in today's world?
Well, I do think about the audiences. For some people, they want to hear those terms. And so you use those terms and it's an important signal for them. For other people, if you use those terms, alarm bells go off, they think the wrong thing, and so it's not useful. So I do try to think about the audience with which I'm speaking, but my focus is really about people feeling heard, feeling like they can contribute. And so if I put the emphasis there, I think regardless of how people feel about terminology, they understand that you end up at a better place, you have a better product, you have a better decision if various perspectives are able to contribute.
Yeah, thank you. So I understand that your research focuses on Black women fiction writers in the Harlem Renaissance. Can you talk about a little bit about your research interests? And then also, how do you balance, as the dean of the largest college on our campus, how do you balance your individual academic research with your administrative duties as the dean of LAS?
Oh, yes. Well, my focus is Black women writers. Toni Morrison is my favorite writer.
I love her.
I started out looking at 19th century women writers, particularly in relation to the experience of enslavement. But repercussions related to enslavement are still apparent in 20th century literature. So I've branched out from the 19th century into the 20th century into the present day. But with regard to the Harlem Renaissance, I got into that because I was teaching a Harlem Renaissance class. I didn't like the books that were out there, so I ended up putting together my own anthology, and from there I've done more work in that area. In fact, I'm juggling 2 Harlem Renaissance projects right now.
Wow.
I was working this morning on editing an encyclopedia entry for a co-edited encyclopedia on the Harlem Renaissance, and I'm also working on an edition of essays on how to teach the Harlem Renaissance. And in terms of how I do this while being dean, I schedule time for research. Sometimes I don't get to keep that time because stuff comes up. Sometimes something gets canceled. I had a cancellation this morning, so I sat down to my computer and worked on my research. But it's really slow going.
Yeah, I want to maybe ask something a little bit deeper there, because it has always struck me that faculty who end up in leadership roles and administrative roles, as a faculty member, your focus is so refined. But then as an administrator, it has to be really broad. So how do you flip back and forth between those sort of different mindsets and frameworks?
Well, when I think about myself, for faculty, we're supposed to do research, we're supposed to do teaching, and we're supposed to do service. Mm-hmm. And so for myself, I think of myself as strong across all 3 of those things. And I think of all of those things as being really important. And when you think about the service component, that really is that kind of broad looking out, across the spectrum. And when I think about my teaching, some of the classes are those narrowly focused graduate courses. Some of them are the broader survey courses for introductory students. So I do feel like even across my faculty role, I go through that kind of like up close and further back positionality. And so for me in the administrative role, it's been kind of easy to make that adjustment, and I kind of do it naturally.
Okay, thank you.
Wow. So my research focus in my graduate program has been online education. So I'm actually really curious if you can tell me a little bit more about LAS Online and those programs and what your college is doing in those areas.
Well, I'm really excited about a new online degree completion program that we've established that's set up to be done completely online. And we're targeting a different audience than usual. So we're aiming at working adults, so not your traditional college-age student, but people that maybe started their college degrees, didn't finish, life got in the way, or for whatever reason. And so this is something that someone can complete without coming to campus if they're not able to. So we're really excited about this. It was just approved. We have a few people who've started it already this semester, but
fantastic.
Really in the fall is when
Yes.
it's going to get off the ground. But there are so many people in the state of Illinois who've started their college degree and haven't been able to finish. And I think this is a way for Illinois to really live up to its land grant mission and make our degree accessible.
Yeah, and that's such a social accelerator for people to finally get that bachelor's degree. So something like this is incredibly important.
Yeah, in fact, one of our first students is actually a staff member here that wants to move up, and in order to get that promotion, needs to have that college degree.
Credential.
Yeah. So as you look broadly at the college and some of the things that are coming on the horizon, what do you see out there, and how is the college preparing for that?
Well, right now we're really focused on AI and how we're going to respond to that. I mean, that seems to be what everybody is looking at these days. But what's interesting about a college of our size and with our breadth is that many of the things that universities are trying to address, that's what we're trying to do in our college. It's just kind of like a smaller version of all the things that universities are addressing. So we're trying to figure out what to do with AI. We're trying to figure out how to balance academic freedom and free speech. We're trying to think about how can we provide a more personalized education? How can we think about our curriculum in a different manner? So offering certificates, addressing, that wide spectrum of adults that are out there that want to upskill. So all of those things we're thinking about in the college.
I remember Jeff Brown, my former dean at Geese. I remember him telling me one day that you had the hardest dean job on campus because there's such a diversity of different academic disciplines within the College of LAS. How does that impact how you sort of attack the future?
Well, it does make it more challenging. I think how I address it is my strong leadership team. So I cannot know everything about all aspects of the college. So I pull together strong representation across different aspects of the university, of the college. And we try to anticipate how these things are going to address the college. But it's a real balancing act. And then we also have to think about our general education responsibilities as well. So not only do we have to think about the college and the direction of the college, we also have to think about how our college contributes to the greater good of the university as well. So it's a lot to navigate.
I can imagine.
So can you tell me a little bit more about, because Chris just mentioned you have things ranging from English and foreign languages all the way to chemistry and MCB and things of that nature, but those unique challenges that you might experience in LAS, can you tell me a little bit more about what those might be?
Well, I think the unique challenges really has to do with our breadth, because if you think about engineering, everybody kind of knows what engineering does. But when you think about the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, a lot of times people aren't really clear. So one of the things that we've been trying to do on our leadership team is to think about what are some areas that we have a lot of faculty working in so that we can create some type of identity for the college. So when people think about research in this area or that area, rather than just thinking about engineering or whatever other college might contribute to that area, they will also think of LAS. So for example, health equity is a place where we have strength, but College of Medicine might readily come to mind. Applied health sciences might readily come to mind. But because LAS does so much more than health equity, we might not readily come to mind. And so one of the things that we're trying to do is to make sure that LAS does come to mind when things like that come up, because we do indeed have strength in that area.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that there's so much of what your college provides that is, I think, considered kind of general education on this campus that you can almost be overlooked when it comes to thinking about specific things. But you all do have this amazing expertise up and down the line of all the different disciplines.
Yeah, in fact, MCB was one of the units that you mentioned. I mean, we bring in, before the state of funding as it is right now, we brought in the greatest amount of NIH funding.
Yes.
So I'm going to switch gears a little bit here and talk about this new governance structure that we've IT governance structure that we brought into our campus. And our CIO, Mairead Martin, and the provost have kind of charged this technology governance executive committee. And you are the inaugural chair of that committee. So can you talk about kind of how you're serving in that role and how you are engaging this idea of us as an IT community bringing in leadership to help us guide our path towards enabling the mission of the place?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a brand new committee. I think we're still figuring out what we're doing. But one of the things that I'm excited about is that it does provide a structure for there to be an academic voice with regard to what we're doing with regards to IT technology. And I think that it also gives us a chance to leverage our strengths. Previously, sometimes decisions would be made not in conversation with each other, and we didn't necessarily make the best choices, whether it was the best choices financially, because Unit A is doing one thing, Unit B is doing another thing. And if we had come together and done the same thing, we could have leveraged the size of our university. And so I think there's a lot of potential. And when I think about our own Atlas unit within the college, I mean, I think it's a place of strength. I think that we're really proud of what we do, but I think we can also benefit from working with other units, working with central campus IT. And maybe everybody doesn't have to do all the same things so that certain units can focus on certain things and we can just kind of have an ability to scale up in a way that we're not doing right now because everybody's trying to do everything.
Yeah. Is there anything that surprised you so far?
Well, I came from a very top-down university at Purdue. So let's just say I've seen a lot of surprises.
Definitely different.
Collaboration around here has to happen or nothing happens. Yeah,
yes.
That's for sure.
Yes. Oh, it'll be interesting times. So let's go on to some more personal practices. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your habits or routines are that sustain you as a leader?
Yes. So I usually get my hair done regularly, which, a beautiful scalp massage is very relaxing.
Agreed.
So I love that. So that's something that definitely is good for the soul. But also I'm very intentional about work-life integration. And so even though I have a crazy schedule, I try to keep my evenings and weekends as free as possible. And when I do have to do things in the evenings or on weekends, I try to include my husband as much as possible because I love my husband. I want to spend time with him. And so I really just try to balance what I do with work, which I love and enjoy. But I am not married to my job. I'm married to my husband. So I also want to spend time with him. So it's just really trying to balance those things.
How difficult is that? Like really as a dean, you mentioned before we started recording, you mentioned that you just got back from a trip to Florida. It was conference and some fundraising. Like how hard is that really to do? We've had a few deans on here and we understand how demanding of a job this is.
It is demanding. My husband was not with me on that trip, but sometimes he is able to travel with me, which is nice. I mean, sometimes he's doing other things during the day and we just see each other in the evenings. But it's nice when he can join me. It is difficult. That's why I calendar as much as possible.
Prioritize.
We have a family calendar so that he knows when I've got something going on in the evening. He knows when the evening activities involve him. The calendar is king.
Communication, priorities, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's think back to your younger self. What would you say to her as she's starting her leadership journey based on what you know now?
Oh, gosh. I probably would have told her to listen to that advice that I received about waiting until you are tenured and a full professor before jumping full on into administration. If you think about my bio, you would have noticed 96, I came to Nebraska. 98, I started coordinating the African American and African Studies program. I was still an assistant professor. I was promoted early, so that did not stop me with that. But my move from associate to full took longer. I mean, when you're in the humanities, it usually does take longer just because you're writing a second book. And so that's a longer process than some other disciplines. But doing that and doing administration, it took me longer. But I will say I did have a good time doing it. But, you know, maybe things would have been different if I had heeded that advice.
Beautiful. Do you want to ask your traditional question?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions. So in the spirit of Candid Conversations, what do most people not know about you that you're willing to share here today?
Well, I would say most people do not know I grew up dancing. So I was part of a dance troupe. I did ballet. I did modern dance. I did jazz dance. But I was also a soccer player. All of my brothers played soccer, so they were playing. I wanted to play too. I also coached. I coached with my father, my two younger brothers for a couple of seasons. I also refereed soccer. I was on the inaugural women's soccer team at my college. And I actually put into AI, did my background as a dancer, coach, soccer player have anything to do with my leadership style? Mm-hmm. And it was so interesting because I was like, yes, I see myself there. Mm-hmm. So I do think those experiences play into my leadership because I really am a team player, and that has to do with that soccer experience. But I also think my cool-headedness has to do with being a referee. I mean, if you referee children and you've got those parents on the sidelines,
bless you.
You
bless
have
you.
to keep a cool head. And I do think that experience as a dancer, it just gives you that emotional intelligence. It's like I can see things and pick up on things that maybe others might not. So
I love that framing. Like, do you ever pull out the dance shoes now?
You know, I have not pulled out my point shoes in quite some time, but I do still have them because I think of it as an important component of myself.
Yeah. Do you get your husband out on the dance floor every once in a while?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Although the thing is, there's not really good places to dance here. So usually we dance when we are traveling. But when good signs come on, I'm like, hey, babe, come on, we got to get up and dance.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
So I'll wrap up by saying, what do you hope our listeners or our viewers take away from our conversation today?
Well, I'm hoping we've sparked a little something in someone. They've heard something that resonates. Maybe something will support somebody's ideas, particularly the whole like work-life integration thing. I think too many people die on the job thinking that stuff will come later. No, you're living your life now. So I think if somebody with my crazy schedule can say it's really important to balance those things, I hope people will hear that and take that to heart.
Thank you. And thank you, Dean Patton, for joining us today. This has been a refreshing, great conversation. Really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit better.
Agreed.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.